It was on the
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
Announcements.
Walk in on the
Okay.
I am looking, have contacted somebody about having some new signage for us, outside, inside.
Billboards.
New boards,
Yes.
yep. And I would like to find out which way we're gonna be facing, because if we're facing this way, we're gonna do a banner, which says Unity in the City, and I need to measure for that, so we need to decide, because I don't think that we could put it here, so we need to figure out one way or the other which way we're facing before I buy the banner. That's number one. Number two, we're doing a new 5 Unity Principles
Yes.
board, which will be PVC instead of core board, so it will be beautiful. And my question to everybody is, the second principle, which we have shortened to my essence is of God, and therefore I am inherently good, and I am down with. Part of me likes the spark of divinity, and part of me just, in metaphysical teaching, they talk about it as the monad rather than the Christ spirit. So for me, the part that's, and this is my Eastern background, the Christ spirit, for me, it translates a little bit, maybe just a source, right? But, and I understand, Reverend Ed often talks about not that it lives within me like he's quoting Butterworth, like a raisin within a bun. But because we're physical beings, it's really difficult to talk about things that are non-physical. So metaphysically, you might think of it almost like nesting dolls, right? Instead of being within me, the monad is sort of above me or guiding me somehow or outside of me. So however we talk about it, it's always going to be imperfect because we're talking about something which goes beyond description because it goes beyond the physical. So before I order that board, I'd just like to, throw that out there and get people's feedback on that because we don't have to keep it the way that it is. And by the way, I go on a lot of different Unity websites, and these 5 principles are malleable. Every church fashions them slightly differently. So we are free either way, we don't need permission, but just so that you know, every church has their sort of own particular flavor that they put on it. So I want us to think really carefully before I buy this new sign about that spark of divinity. And I saw Sister Colette shaking her head, yes.
Yeah.
And so because you're one of the people that really decided what ours should sound like, I value your input.
I was reading it and I thought it should say because you're owning your spark of divinity, my spark of divinity, which is my God essence.
I was like,
Or God essence, which is my spark of divinity, means that I am inherently good or I represent inherent goodness or whatever it is. But I think I like the spark of divinity because it reminds us that we are divine.
Right, I agree.
So
I agree.
like that.
Yeah, me too. Raleigh?
Having heard Reverend Carlos mention 2 Sundays in a row Eric Butterworth's Discover the Power Within You, and having bought it and begun to deeply digest it, he makes the point that the Christ, it wasn't Jesus Christ.
Right.
It was Jesus the Christ, as in Jesus the Savior, Jesus the Messiah. And the whole point is that all of us are inherently the Savior and the Messiah as projected into the world through ourselves, our true selves. And so it's not really referring to Christ, it's referring to the spirit of the Messiah.
Right,
Which
still
is
in
Christ
a still in
is
a Christian
model
context
of
though.
that is, well, true.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad thing. I mean, that's part of who our church is, but it still is within, a Christian
Right. So
context.
I would vote for keeping.
You vote for keeping it the way that it is?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
the whole first line.
I kind of liked what, I appreciate very much what you said
What we're always saying.
about us. It's not about a particular individual, Jesus necessarily, who lived, who embodied it. It's about all of us. But I like the essence, I like the simplicity of when we shorten it, but I also like the spark at the same time. So I guess the Christ Spirit doesn't, I think I would prefer it if it was a little more less specific to a
Yeah.
particular religion. I don't mind it in most contexts, but maybe there can be a way to keep the spark and to keep the essence.
Yes.
And that would include the Christ Spirit, but that might be a little broader.
Right.
Can we have a business meeting maybe in a couple, you know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
we're not-
announce this and think about it,
Oh, okay.
have more of a discussion after. sort
Yep.
of.
Yep.
I like saying divine light lives within me, my essence
Yeah.
of group. So Christ Spirit, yes, I understand that, but coming from a non-Christian background, you know, I like divine light
Yeah.
better.
Mm.
All right. I'm gonna let Alicia just be, yeah, last one.
Okay, I agree with that. I love a spark of divinity, but I also think of a spark as just like a small little piece of a fire, or a small little piece of a light. It's just like a spark, like the beginning. So I like the light of, or divine
Yes,
light,
yeah.
or the light.
Yeah.
But similar to what Colette was saying, to simplify, a spark of divinity, comma, my essence is of God, and therefore I am inherently good. Or divine light, comma, my essence. Like, they're one and the same.
Good.
I'm glad that this generated so much discussion and that I was
Yeah.
not the
Very
only one.
good.
It's important, I think it's, you know, it's really important how these things that we say together, to me, it's like a form of entrainment. Sometimes I really like when somebody speaks it and I hear it and I take it in, because it vibrates in me in a different way than me just saying it aloud and by myself, or even saying it with you. There's something about hearing it in silence that's also powerful, so I like practicing it all three ways, and it's important. Yes.
It's interesting because I took part of from you, like, well, a spark, but it's small, but a spark's also sufficient
Ah.
to ignite, so.
Right, what?
But
I
a
like
spark
that.
is
A
also
spark is also
sufficient.
sufficient, you only
To
need a
ignite.
spark to
Right.
to
To
ignite.
ignite the fire, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna.
For what it's worth.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I like spark too. But if
I like
anybody
that.
wants, you know, we can have, like John said, we can actually have discussion. And we can even write down, you know, our versions. And we can look at it so that we can really hone the wording down just so. The only other announcement I'll make is that to encourage people who come occasionally, come when they can, if you would consider giving online and making it a recurring donation, it's really helpful for us. So we do have people that donate online, and you know, sometimes when we come up, and I'm putting this in quotation marks, a little short, or it appears to be short, we go online and it's like, Cynthia and I would do like a happy dance together. So it really makes, it's the consistency that makes a big, big, big difference. So it's easy to set up, we have PayPal online, and so if that interests you, I really encourage you to do it, to consider it.
Can you do that from the website?
You can do it
Yeah.
from the website,
Really good. It's very easy.
www.unityinthecity.org,
You can do it from the newsletter
and
too.
from the newsletter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and if there's any other, oh, and Shifra, before,
Sure.
we're also gonna be showing the movie that Shifra had asked us to consider, which is the Combatants for Peace documentary.
Disturbing the peace.
And it's, you know, we're gonna view that, her friend has the DVD, so we'll wait a couple weeks so that we have a little bit of lead time, so that everybody knows that we're gonna be showing it. It's an hour and a half, so it's not, you know, super long after church, so we are gonna be screening that.
In the context of deciding how we're going to keep this set up in the room, will those movies be shown in here on that projector screen? Because if we start to do that frequently, that could be, you know, a vote to keep the setup this way, so we're always facing this way.
That's a good point. I like it either way. I'm comfortable with
Like this
either
setup?
setup. I'm not the
Okay.
one setting up and breaking down the room. You know what I mean? Like, for props to Raleigh and all those who help. So, you know, I feel like it should be whoever's setting it up on a regular basis, what makes sense for them. David?
Do we have different versions of the 5 principles?
Do we currently?
Right.
No. There are different versions online. When you look at other churches, each church words it slightly different, not even slightly differently, but the essence of the message of each principle is the same, but the wording can be quite different.
No, because some of these principles have longer versions and shorter versions. That's what I'm asking. Do we have those, or is this the only version we're gonna be looking at?
I think like we, for example, in this community for a while have been shortening it to my essence is of God, and therefore I am inherently good. That was just like, that sort of came out of us, but sometimes people read it.
Right.
But when
That way.
you're doing that, you change the emphasis
Mhm.
of the statements.
But
That's right.
apparently it's okay as long as you're getting the, so we were trying to come
Well,
to
it's
a.
only okay if it's okay with us.
That's right.
Right, if it's okay with
Absolutely.
us.
Yeah, that's why I'm bringing it up. That's why I don't want,
And
I'm
that's
not
why
gonna
I'm
change.
asking, are there different versions that we
In
can
other.
compare them?
Sure,
Google it.
yeah, exactly, Google it.
Google it.
Look up other churches online.
Yeah.
Look at
I'm
how they
talking
word
about our
it. No,
church.
we don't have other versions.
Oh,
No, no, we've either have this one, the original, or we've shortened it to the second sentence, and that's all that we have.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but we're not limited to those two things, is what I'm saying. We can fashion a third. Yes.
Could we, I like photographs, and some of the churches have boards with just candid shots of the community. I take a lot of them, but I don't have a printer that prints them out well. I would love it if collectively or somebody could take it on so that we can, have photographs of the community and the different people who've come. And when we bring the banner, we could also post some posters just with candid photographs of the community. It's a bonding thing, and it increases a sense of community. And in a few of the churches, it's actually gotten people to come more often.
Because they see their face.
Yeah, they see their
Interesting.
face and they want to keep seeing it.
And we do have a lot of pictures on the website. There are
Yeah, I
photographs
do know they're on the
embedded
web.
in, yeah. But you're saying actually print them out.
So we can have them here in the sanctuary.
Mm-hmm, yeah, yeah. We'd have to find a way to, be able to take them up and take them down, but I don't think that would be too difficult.
Tell me when it's picture day, so like, don't come in jeans.
You come just as you are.
Okay, thanks.
It's one of the things I love about this community, you come in jeans. Let's go
My
on.
mother goes, oh, it's picture day.
All right, I've been up here long enough.
Okay.
Can I-
we love
Schiffer, you had one?
Just have an announcement. I'm just having a birthday. I'm doing it early, but I'll bring them next week. I'm just having a birthday celebration. God willing, I'll be 57 on June 4th. Having a party on June 3rd after church, 3 o'clock, and there'll be food and music and poetry and playing, frisbee, catch, etc. And it'll also, God willing, be the day I'm a year off of segments. So that day was the day. So you're all invited, and it's completely open. You can bring friends, family, animals, anybody you want. Okay.
Thank you.
June 3rd, and I have plenty of flyers for anybody who wants them.
I'm sorry, I'm away that weekend.
Schiffer brought up the Poor People's Campaign a while back, and I've done some research on it. It's a real spiritually based movement.
Yep.
It starts this Tuesday, and all the state houses in New England are going to be affected on Tuesday. And it goes on for 6 weeks, so there'll be stuff in the newsletter on that this week.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
All right, I've talked enough. Time to hear.